Let's talk about my hatred of eggs. I've always hated eggs. Ever since I was very young, I've always thought eggs were just absolutely disgusting. I don't know what it was, but every time I took a bite of anything egg, whether it be sunny side up, scrambled, omelet, what have you, eggs have always just made me gag and throw up. I'm serious. And sometimes as we get older from our adolescence, we tend to expand our palate and our taste buds. So things we didn't like before, we tend to grow accustomed to over time. An example of this for me was my previous hatred of the taste of cheese. I've always hated cheese, but there's differences in how I view cheese today as opposed to how I view cheese back then. Let me explain. When I was a kid, eating cheese was like eating a foot fungus. And no, I'm not making a reference to the top 15 Burger King foot lettuce joke. I'm being serious. This is how it felt to eat cheese back in the day. But regardless, eating cheese to me back in my adolescence was often just something that I kind of had to overcome over time because a lot of really tasty food had cheese in it. For example, pizza, cheeseburgers, cheesecake, hamburger helper. There's so many things that are so wonderful that have cheese in them, but for some reason I was so anti-cheese that I just couldn't fucking eat it. And I regret to admit that there was one time where my mother took me to McDonald's, bought me one of those hamburgers that were on the dollar menu, and told me that it was a Krabby Patty from SpongeBob. And not only did this lie work, causing me to eat the burger, I did eventually realize that cheese wasn't really all that bad. Of course, that being said, my shift in my love and hatred of cheese was not absolute. So there are still things today, like chicken cheese Alfredo and shit like that. I won't eat that. That stuff is nasty. But what makes eggs all the different here? Why has my opinion on eggs not shifted like my opinion of cheese has over time? Well, despite eggs being a type of dairy product, it's not the same as drinking a dairy product that is produced from a cow. And honestly, it doesn't really matter if it's produced from a cow or a goat or whatever. It just tastes weird. It's just really weird. Even milk is kind of gross to me. Just regular fucking milk is always nasty to me for some weird reason. And like I said earlier, this hatred of eggs, and by extension milk, and kind of cheese in some cases, has always stuck with me up until my adulthood. So then you're probably asking, what do I do in place of some of these dairy products? Because some of these are essential to our everyday diets. Well, for milk, I prefer to drink almond milk, especially sweetened almond milk. Almond milk is actually so good that I can drink it straight from the carton, whereas regular milk, I kind of gag to the thought of doing exactly that. Not to mention, I put almond milk in my coffee, and it's better and cheaper than regular creamer coffee. Because creamer is just milk with a lot of sugar in it, honestly, and I don't even really want all that sugar to begin with. As for cheese, a lot of the cheese that I do eat tends to come from pizza or burgers and stuff like that. But there is still macaroni and cheese. I hate macaroni and cheese. It is nasty. I don't know what it is, especially with the Kraft brand macaroni and cheese, but I just do not like macaroni and cheese. It kind of just makes me feel sick for some reason, especially when you don't have milk and you can't really produce it properly. It just really doesn't sit right with me at all. So instead, I do prefer to eat vegan mac and cheese. It's not that I'm vegan, it's really more to the fact that it's made better. I don't know what it is. It's just not gross and nasty, and it actually tastes more like what I would expect a good mac and cheese to taste like. I remember eating vegan mac and cheese for the first time and realizing how good this really was, how there was something I've been missing out on for so many decades now. But what about eggs? I still hate eggs, and there can't be anything that can replace the nastiness of eggs. Well, that's something I thought for many years, but I was wrong. Deeply wrong. I can't exactly recall when, but sometime in the late 2010s decade, I met up with a friend of mine who is vegan, and he made an entire basket of vegan egg salad sandwiches. And I mean, there was a lot of them wrapped in aluminum foil. To be clear, they had onions, veganese, which is vegan mayonnaise, other herbs and spices such as turmeric, and of course, tofu. All of that mixed together between two slices of bread, toasted. And I tried one. He begged me to try one to see if I would like it despite my protest. And I decided, alright, I'll give it a shot. And needless to say, I ate like around 10 that day. It really made a world of a difference.